Welcome to the PHAROS Fit podcast, where we help you to explore your capacity to move better, push further, and achieve your limitless potential through fitness, nutrition, recovery, and lifestyle. Hey guys, welcome back to the PHAROS Fit podcast. I'm here today with my director of the Barbell Club, Robin Reeder. Hey, Robin.
Hey, you guys.
Robin's been with us for a long time. She is a sensation at the gym. Has come back from cancer and is now cancer-free.
Almost 5 years, going on
Almost
5 years.
5 years. Yeah. And doing stronger than ever, doing better than ever, and doing a great job with this Barbell Club. So Robin, let's check in with Barbell Club. How's it going? What's been developing?
Yeah, so we started Barbell Club. We've always had that lift class, which is the Olympic weightlifting class. So if you're a Limitless member, you have always had access to that lift class. We offer it 3 times a week. Then we started showing interest in members and people that took that lift class started showing interest in wanting to compete. It's like, why am I putting in all this hard work and not showing anything for it? You know, it's great lifting heavy in the gym and around people, but the difference between Olympic weightlifting, or I call it weightlifting, and taking build or train is it's an actual sport. It's an Olympic sport that they perform at the Olympics. So like you're training for a sport instead of training for aesthetics. I mean, that's like the biggest difference.
I think it just gives people a real solid reason to train. Like sometimes it helps to have that goal. You've got that event coming up. You know, same if like for a marathon or whatever it is. It's good to have something in diet. It's like, I know I'm competing on this day, and this is what I need to do in order to get to that point. And I think that's massively helpful for a lot of people because for some, like just the ongoing, like just training every day for the sake of training can get dull after a time, and motivation can be an issue. So I think
100%. Yeah.
You know, they need that sense of
I mean, even for us, like we've been training we're old, long time. And it's nice to have, like, we're having that meet coming up at PHAROS in a couple of weeks, and you're going to do it, which is awesome. So you've been doing the Barbell Club programming, which is amazing. It's just nice to kind of just see where you check in with yourself and be like, you know, we were all, I mean, I was an athlete at some point in my life. You were probably an athlete at some point in your life. You've competed in something at some point. And it's nice to be like, have that thing again to train for and like perform.
And what I love about like little things like this, little competitions like this, is that, you know, none of us are professional athletes. None of us are giving up our day jobs to do this. We're all just like doing it recreationally. And that's, I feel the same way about like low level, small, like CrossFit competitions. As soon as it gets to the point where you're competing against people who are doing this for a living, you know, it becomes a different thing. And it's just annoying at that point because it's
annoying and it's not fun. And
it's not fun because you can't compete with that.
Exactly.
And for me, it's like, I'm not going to compete in bodybuilding because I'm not going to like take everything I would need to take to do that.
Exactly. Same.
You know, but I want to do things. Like I want to do events. I want to have things to train for. I want to test myself. I like the push of that. So signing up for something like this, and for like I said, if it's a local CrossFit competition or if it's a fucking 5K run or a half marathon, whatever it is, like having stuff like that in the diary, I just think can be like immensely helpful as a reason to train, as it's interesting to give yourself some kind of like measure.
You have progress. You can do little meets throughout the year, and you can be like, okay, I hit 45 kilos on my snatch in this meet in June, and in December I hit 50 kilos. That's 5 kilos, which is like 11 pounds in 6 months. Like that's a big difference. And like in weightlifting, 10 pounds is a lot to put on.
It is. And what I love about Olympic weightlifting is it's such an art form. It's not, I mean, you have to be strong, but you have to have grace with that strength, and you have to have mobility with that strength. And it's such a precise artistic sport that I think it really does appeal to a certain demographic. And I know you've had immense success with women in this Barbell Club.
Yeah, so that's like, honestly, I love coaching. I mean, I love coaching men. Like I obviously coach a ton of men, but like I prefer coaching women in weightlifting just because, you know, the best weightlifters are those with great mobility. And those with great mobility are people that grew up doing gymnastics, dance, cheer, sports where you had to like really use your body. And a lot of those sports are women. Women did those sports.
Yeah.
So, they have just great mobility. That being said, like, I do have, I don't know, let's say on like last night was Thursday night, I had 12 people in class. Four of them were men. So it's like it's growing in popularity amongst men, but it's so, I think because it is such a frustrating
Mm.
sport. You can take build and let's say it's 4 sets of 12 on dumbbell press, okay? You can pick whatever you weight you want and you can do your 12 reps. You'll never go to failure. You can do your first lift at 60% on a snatch and fail it, like just because of technique. And that is very
Well,
frustrating.
here is the thing. Like with guys, there's an ego element to it. So
Yeah, 100%.
if you show up to a weightlifting session and you can't snatch 95 pounds, then your ego gets damaged if you're a certain type of guy.
Yes,
I think women suffer less from that ego problem. And I think guys,
100%.
especially if they're strong guys, they show up and like, they think they're going to be something and then they can't do it. It
Yeah,
can be incredibly like almost humiliating and embarrassing because, they want to show the world that they're a strong guy and they can't lift that
yeah.
weight.
And you can't lift it because you don't put the time in for technique. The thing about weightlifting is, and actually, a weightlifting coach, Sean Waxman, he's not in LA anymore. I think he moved, I don't know where, he like moved to Utah or something. But he said to me, I did some like private over the pandemic with him.
Mm.
And he said to me, like, weightlifting isn't how much you show up. It's not, I can show up 6 days a week and do it, but it's like, how bad do I want it? Meaning putting in the sleep, putting in the nutrition, putting in the accessories, like doing all of the work.
Yeah.
It's not just showing up to class for an hour and being like, okay, I'm going to get better because I do this 3 times a week. It's not, it's just not going to happen. You really have to kind of want it.
You really have to understand it as well, and you have to understand movement, and you have to understand position.
Yeah,
Like it's so interesting to me because before I do any lift, I have to visualize what that lift looks like before I lift it, in
100%.
every position, how it should look before I do it. Now, often it doesn't end up looking like I envisioned it would, but that that picture helps.
You know, they say the best athletes learn from watching other
Mm,
athletes. So like when I coach, it's our Saturday build hybrid class. We always have clean and jerks in that class. So usually on our last clean and jerk, I have people go individually so everyone
see,
can
yeah,
watch,
yeah,
because you're so into your like
yes,
own
and
space and
yeah,
your workout that you're not taking the time to watch
yes,
others, and you can learn so
yes,
much by watching someone else do it, especially someone that does it really
yeah.
well. I mean, have you ever been in a class where we're going heavy, like I'm sure you have, we're all going heavy, say it's like a max out, and then you watch one person fail and the next thing you know it's like a domino effect
Oh,
of
for
everyone
sure.
failing?
Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of like that.
It also helps to watch yourself, to record yourself and watch yourself back,
Oh yes.
especially when it comes to things like triple extension, because you might think you're reaching triple extension and you might think your hips are coming through, but when you watch it back, it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
And that helps immensely with frustration because frustration happens when you don't understand. Like fucking golf for me, like I'm terrible at golf just because I get so enraged when the ball goes off in this direction. I don't understand why. Like it's the same thing with
Yeah.
Olympic weightlifting. If you don't understand why you're failing a lift, it can be very frustrating. Where if you watch it back and it's like, oh, I can see I didn't get my hips through. There's all these little things, all these little nuances that once you can understand it and comprehend it, you can fix it, and it becomes less of a frustration.
Yeah, I mean, so it's Sonia Bradley, who I love. Hi, Sonia, if you're listening to this. I love her. She's been with me a long time with weightlifting. She wants it bad. She puts in the time. She does all of the programming. She also does CrossFit. There was a time where I was watching her and I was like, this girl's not gonna do it. And she has come so
Yeah,
far. That's why I'm like, even like with little things, I'm like, it's okay. I know we're gonna work through it because you've worked through everything
yeah,
else.
yeah,
So I'm not a broken record. There are some people where I'm like, you gotta stay over the bar, and they don't understand what that means. So I have to change
right,
what I'm
yeah,
saying. As a coach, you have to. Not everybody learns the same way, and not everyone can be coached the same way.
yeah.
So I think that that's the hardest part of coaching intermediate to novice level lifters. Like, I don't have anyone that's like extremely talented at weightlifting. I mean, everyone's like kind of talented, including myself. Like, I'm kind of talented at it. Even Anna, she's kind of talented at it,
Yeah.
but like none of us are going to the
Right.
Olympics. Like, we're having fun and we're getting
The
better.
interesting thing about weightlifting as well, I mean, there's something called rate coding. So you have your pure strength, and you have your potential power, and then you have your rate coding.
Yeah.
It's basically coordination. And what you see and what I've seen with the girls that you train when you post them on Instagram is how much their coordination has improved. Because to
Yes.
go from the first pull to the second pull to the third pull, like it takes a lot. It takes a lot of coordination, a lot of moving parts happening at the same
Yeah, it's
time
like
within a split second.
yes.
And it takes a while for that to kick in. Even if, like I said, if you've been doing strength training for a long time, and even some kind of power training, once you start to try and put all those things together, your body really has to learn, okay, you want this and this and this to happen in sequence. And once your body kind of learns that
Yep.
sequence and repeats that sequence, it starts to improve that kind of rate coding.
Exactly. Yeah, it's that repetition
Yeah.
of it. So it's like the more you do it, the more you're going to get better at it. The more that barbell's over your head, the more you're going to get comfortable in the bottom of that snatch position. The more you fail with the barbell over your head, the more you're going to get comfortable at going heavier and failing heavier. And the more you get comfortable at just holding that barbell, it's just going to happen. But you have to put in the
Yeah.
work. I coached build today at the 10 a.m. build today, and I don't coach build a lot. I was covering for someone, and it was shoulder day, so it was like overhead pressing. And I was very honest with these guys. You know, it's a class of 20 people. I had one female in the class, all men, and I was like, look, if you guys want to get your shoulders big and juicy and a big round 360, you got to take this to failure. You're doing 3 presses on your right, 3 presses on your left, not that many reps. You want that third rep to feel like fucking shit, you know? But in weightlifting, failure, it doesn't exist like that. Failure is like you're missing the lift because of a technical issue. Unless once you get that technique dialed in, which I don't think any of us do, including myself, maybe you're missing lifts because of strength.
I don't think anybody, I mean, everyone's always trying to get better technically.
Yeah.
What I've noticed, having been doing more weightlifting again, is it's an energy thing. It takes a lot of energy to do multiple lifts at a heavy weight, and you have to be really careful not to do too many reps. You have to be careful not to do too many warm-ups, because you only have so much energy, and the taxation on your CNS, on your central nervous system, is so great that I just find myself like, fuck, I'm not sore. My muscles aren't like, but I'm just fucking tired.
You're tired. You just can't pull the bar anymore.
Yeah, and you can't move the bar anymore. So it becomes, you have to be very conservative, and you have to be very measured with your volume and what you're doing.
Exactly.
Especially for people that are coming from a CrossFit background, it's like, it's so tempting to just do like, 30 reps of this and 30 reps of that. And it's like, at a certain point, you have to understand that the body can only handle so much taxation before it's going to stop. You're going to give up on your engine.
I mean, we understand that now as like we're older and we've been doing CrossFit and weightlifting and bodybuilding for a long time. You said something really interesting about the CrossFit and the 30 reps. So say like Isabel, which is like 30 snatches for time. Okay. You could do those power, you could squat them, however you want to do them. We in CrossFit, we get conditioned at certain weights. So I can do 6 snatches at 65 pounds. I can do snatches at 95 pounds. I can do snatches at 105 pounds. The second you put 2.5s on the bar, I can't fucking do it.
Yeah.
I conditioned myself at certain weight increments, but I'm fucked the second 2.5 pounds goes on the bar. And people get really frustrated about being like, I just did Isabel at 95 pounds. Why can't I snatch 100 pounds? You've conditioned yourself for Isabel. It's a completely different energy system. And you're most likely not using great technique when you're doing Isabel. It might not count in weightlifting. I don't know. I don't know if you're Isabel.
And that is the problem with it. Like, I can't remember what the statistic is, but for every bad rep you do, it takes like 5 reps to unlearn that bad habit. You know what
exactly.
I mean? So if you do 30 reps, 30 bad reps at 95 pounds, your technique's not going to get better. It's going to suck.
No, it's not going to get better. And it's going to, I mean, with weightlifting, like when you get that, say you're pushing for 100 pounds in your snatch or that 45-kilo snatch or whatever, or for like men, you guys all want like 100-kilo snatch, and you get that dopamine, that
Yeah.
feeling of like excellence. But 95% of weightlifting training is you're not getting that dopamine. You're frustrated, you're upset, it's blood, sweat, and tears. But getting that 100-kilo snatch, it's worth it. At the end,
Yeah.
it's worth it. But with CrossFit, you're going in and you want to skyrocket your heart rate to 190 every fucking day because you're used to running off of that dopamine release.
Yeah.
I mean, anything, like we all work out for some sort of dopamine, right? Whatever it is, but like we're not hitting 100 kilos every day, you know? So
Yeah.
it's just a completely different sport. Even though it's like a sport within a sport, it's just different.
How hard do you find it to coach people to get under the bar? And what I mean by that is, at a certain point, it's all about getting under the bar and how much sack you've got to get under the bar and how willing you are to get under the bar. And it's, yeah, like you're saying, it's a mental
Yeah.
thing. And
Yeah.
you know, it's hard to go from that thing where you're doing basically a power clean into a front squat, as opposed to landing in the bottom of a clean.
Yep. Which is easier. Like I
It
think
is,
it's
but you
easier
have to
once you
train
understand
yourself
the technique. Yeah.
to get to that point. And it's the same thing for me
Yeah.
with the jerk, to teach people to get low under the jerk and not just to basically like put one foot in front of the other. It's difficult. And I've been doing this for a long time, obviously, and I still struggle with that depth to get down quickly. And some of it is obviously mobility
Yeah.
and being old and shit like that. Do you find that to be one of the hardest things to actually coach people to do, to just get under the fucking bar?
Yeah, trusting yourself. Like we went heavy on clean and jerks yesterday because we're a couple weeks out from this meet, so it's our last heavy day. There was one video that I think Michelle took. It was like from her back angle. She went and did a lift. She literally pulled the barbell up to her fucking eyeballs and just dropped it. And then 15 seconds later, in the background, you see Sonya do the exact same thing. They're so both of them are so strong and they're pulling the bar, but they're not
To
trusting
get under it.
themselves pulling.
Yeah.
They're not pulling themselves
Right.
under it. So you can't just pull the bar and drop because you're going to get dumped on. It's going to be impossible to stand up out of it. So that's your third pull, is where you're pulling under, and they're just it's scary. One, like you don't want
Yeah.
to fuck your shit up. But we've been training percentages for so long that, you know, they need to just kind of get out of their head, and they will. Once they get through that mental block, they will kind of like excel. But you do have to get through that mental block, and a lot of people have a mental block at like a certain number. I'm sure you have a certain number where it's
Yeah.
just like,
Yeah.
but you're strong enough to hit
It's
it.
funny, like with a lot of things, like as soon as I get over 225, like something like changes in my brain. I'm like, oh, you're over 225 now. This is going to get tough. And then from that point on, it gets exponentially harder. Even though, like,
Yeah,
objectively,
but why?
I don't know.
You're strong enough.
It's just that number. Like, it's just objectively, I know it's not that heavy, and it's, you know, it should be easy for me. For whatever reason, for some reason, 225 is just that number. I'm like, oh,
Yeah,
as soon as it gets over that, like, I have to really think about. I really take myself seriously and really get everything correct. And
I
again,
think it's how bad you want it
yeah,
too.
it's
It's
how
like,
bad you want it.
how bad you want it, and like, do you care that much? Like 225 is heavy.
What I find is, like I was saying before with energy, like I've only got so many lifts over 225 energy wise
Yeah, 100%.
before my
Yeah.
coordination goes. You know, I have to be very careful with like 235, 245 in that area, like, because I know like that's going to be right at my limit. If I've done too
Yeah.
much to get there, I won't get it.
Yeah, so I have our lift class is like an hour, but I have like a 15-minute window between my RX class and lift class. So we usually go like an hour and 15. So when I first started weightlifting, I went to a gym like in Woodland Hills, Takano, and I was still CrossFitting at the time. I was young. I was maybe 30. I don't even know if I was 30 yet. But I would get on the rower, I would do all my banded stretch, I would do all my glute stuff, and he was like, "Stop. You're doing too much. You're gonna waste your energy."
Right. Yeah.
And so like when I warm people up, I still use Emily's PVC pipe warm up, which
Yeah.
is you hit everything.
Yeah.
We do some glute activation stuff. We do some squat drills and some like knee over toe drills for ankle dorsiflexion. and then we're going. So it takes me 15 minutes to warm them up, and and I think that's all you really need before putting on lightweight onto an empty barbell.
Yes, there's definitely a danger of doing too much, and it's symptomatic
Like,
of,
you don't need to row.
like with everything, like things move in patterns. So previously, the problem is people do any warm ups; they just went in and started working out, and then
Yeah.
CrossFit came along. It's like, oh no, no, no! If you're going to do this stuff, you got to mobilize. You got to do all this stuff before you. And then it's a fucking 45-minute warm up for a 10-minute workout. So it went completely the other way. And now it's like, okay, you need some stuff. You do need to warm up sensibly. That you need some stuff,
Yes.
but you can't do everything. You can't do 5 glute drills, 5 hip drills, 5 ankle drills, 5 shoulder overhead. Like you can't do it. You will burn out. And even if it's light, even if it doesn't feel like much, everything has a price. Everything is a tax. You
Yeah.
have to be very aware of that as you're preparing yourself for these kind of lifts. It's almost like you need to get there as quickly as you can. So whatever you do to get there as quickly as you can, that's what you do. And just
Exactly. Yeah, so we do the same warm up every time. So
yeah,
Tuesday and Thursday when I coach, they know that we're going to do 3 minutes moderate on the bike just to flush our legs from a couple days before from squatting, and then we're going to go into the PVC warm up. Then we're going to maybe do some glute activation, and then we're going to do an empty barbell warm up, and then they're game on.
time to go.
But we're always doing the same thing because when we come to competition, I don't want to throw them. They should know exactly what their body needs to warm up on competition day.
Yeah.
So we do the same exact thing. And, it's kind of like the progressive overload of warming up. Like, we're not really changing it that much. We're maybe adding a little bit more resistance, maybe doing a little bit of a heavier barbell on the barbell warm up, but that's it.
Yeah. How have you dealt with, I mean, you're an incredibly resilient person, as we know. And I know you've dealt with a lot in the past, and now you're dealing with this. We have a similar injury. You tore a ligament in the
Yeah.
wrist, right?
Yeah, I think you do. I think you have the exact same one.
Yeah, I severed mine. Did yours sever?
Look how swollen my hand. Mine's severed, so there is nothing there.
Yeah.
But okay, so it's the scaphoid lunate ligament.
Yeah.
So you have the scaphoid and the lunate bone, scaphoid lunate, and it's the ligament that kind of holds them together.
Yeah.
So the bone, which I'm sure you saw in your MRI, it gaps. When the ligament's not there, the two bones kind of gap away from each other. So what happens when that gaps is your bones shift. And so my pain, I couldn't even load anything in front rack. I couldn't go into plank. I was like, I'm fucked. I was like, I'm never going to do anything again. I was like, you go to the absolute worst, darkest, negative place because I'm so used to working out for 90 minutes to 2 hours, 5 days a week, getting my dopamine kick from that, like trying to function in my everyday life.
Yeah. How are you dealing with that? Like mentally from
Honestly, because I had to back off so much in December because I couldn't hold load anymore. So I went straight in. So I'm so thankful for PHAROS base and all of our Arsenal strength stuff because I don't have to load a barbell to get the same thing done. If not better. Like, I feel like my stimulus is probably better now because now I'm straight up just bodybuilding. So, which I've done bodybuilding as accessory work to my weightlifting or to my CrossFit, but I've never done bodybuilding on its own. And I'm enjoying the journey right now. Obviously, I can't really do much with the side right now, but I'm doing a lot of lifts. I did an hour on the treadmill, and then I do glute stuff. I have a glute day. I have a quad day. I did abs today. Like, I'm making it work. All I want is for a fighting chance to come back.
Yeah.
And that is what I told my surgeon the day of my surgery. I showed him a video of me snatching. I was like, I want to be able to do this again. And he's like, I don't know if I can't promise you that, is what he said to me.
Well,
he's like, I can't promise you that. Because obviously they don't want you to go fuck your shit. They're like putting it all back together and they don't want you to go fuck it up again. But, after surgery, and I met him a week later, and he's like, so it was completely severed. He's like, there was a little part of the tendon dangling. I was able to repair that tendon and then do a full reconstruction. So with the reconstruction is they took another ligament and added it. So I have a double. He's like, I made it as strong as I can.
Yeah.
And hoping that I'm not in pain and I do my mobility to get back into a fighting chance, because I did make Masters Nationals, which was last weekend, which is a bummer because I would have loved to go. But, I've done this. I've seen this rodeo. I'm in better shape now.
If it gives you any hope, when it happened to me and I didn't have surgery, the guy was like, you can't clean anymore. You're done. You just have to accept that this is just not going to be in your wheelhouse anymore. And I can clean 265.
Does it hurt?
Does it hurt? Yes. Like, it does a little bit. Like, it causes me pain. I'm not like not in pain, and I'll probably get like a good amount of arthritis in my later years, but
Yeah.
I can do it. Actually, the worst thing is overhead squats.
Oh, the worst. Oh, that load overhead.
I did 3 at 185, 3 overhead squats at 185 a couple of weeks ago. It's just so painful.
I mean, you're a better man than me because I would be like, nope,
I
I'm
can,
out.
but I mean, this is 5 years ago. Mine happened, so it's been a while.
What are you? So, I mean, it's not going to get better.
Yeah, I'm just like maybe other stuff will grow around it and everything will be all right. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, I think, I asked him the day of my surgery because I didn't really want the surgery. And I was like, do I need this?
Yeah,
As the
yeah,
anesthesia is going in and I'm like falling asleep. And he was like
yeah.
100%, and so I saw four surgeons and every single one of them said I needed it. They're like, you're too young to go arthritic. So I'm like, okay, and my bones shifted. So, if my bones didn't shift, maybe it was
Yeah.
something else,
See,
but all my bones are
I
all
don't
fucked
think I
up.
had that. I don't think my bones shifted.
Yeah, all my bones shifted backwards.
How did
So
you do it
that's why
again?
it kind of hurt. So 2 days before my meet in July, I literally was just walking in the base and tripped and caught myself.
Oh, shit.
So I hurt my wrist right before the meet. I went into the meet with the fear of God in me. I did okay. I failed my last jerk because it hurt like a fucking bitch. I would have hit that if I wasn't hurt. And then I kind of was like rehabbing it and felt fine. And then I did a heavy D-ball like 3 weeks later and I heard a pop. And I was like, "Look, if it was hanging on, it was hanging on by a thread." And I just sent it
Because that's
overboard.
how mine happened.
So,
Mine happened with the D-ball. But
what? Mine
yeah,
too.
it's
Did
why
you
I
hear a
always tell
pop?
people you have to pick up a D-ball with your forearms and not your hands, because a lot of people will just put their hands on it
Yeah.
and pull, and the weight of that
I
pull.
100% did that. And I know better
Yeah,
than that.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's how it happened.
So you're not the only okay, Pete. So mine was a D-ball, yours was a D-ball, and I know one other person that did it with a
Oh, really?
D-ball.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not gonna name names, but if you listen to this, you know it's
yeah,
you. Who's in your same situation, who's like denying that it's hurt. But yeah, I heard
yeah, yeah. I did too.
a pop and like a little shrivel, and I was like,
Yeah.
uh-oh.
Yeah. It's rough, but it's yeah, like I think I always joke, like you can complain about this stuff and then you see someone like with one leg competing in some amazing event. You're like, okay, I need
A
to
hundred
stop being a
percent.
fucking baby about this. Like just
I think about that
yeah.
all the time. I'm like, I can come back from this, but like you can't come back. Like I have like going into this sarcoma. So sarcomas are bone, most of them are bone cancers. And a lot of my friends that were going through treatment were amputees, had to lose legs, had to lose arms, had to lose fingers, hands, because with bone cancer is to stop it from spreading, you just have to like cut it off,
Right. Right.
like that,
Yeah.
mine was luckily in the soft tissue and they were able to like scoop it out and like get it out that way. That's kind of a disgusting way of saying it,
Yeah.
but yeah, you had to like get it out. But yeah, there's a lot of sarcoma survivors out there that are, they don't have legs, they don't have arms, they're
Right.
amputees, and
Yeah.
it's, I have a dear friend that like that was her fighting chance, was to like lose a leg, and she ended up ultimately dying from it. But it's sad. It's sad that that's
But I think
you know
with you as well, I think you kind of, because you understand how fragile life can be and how fatal it can be so quickly. Everything you can do to live the best life possible, you have to do in the moment. So you have to
100%.
make the most of the time that you have.
Yeah, I think it's changed me a lot. I like think about that a lot. For example, earlier today there was like a little situation with a guy. Old me would have been like, "Get the fuck out of here." And then I'm just like, this isn't worth it."
Right.
And I just like walked away because I don't have it in
Right.
me to fight those battles anymore.
Right.
Like my life is like, it's not, I've
Yeah,
changed. Cause you know me, I used to be a
you
little
did.
spicy little spitfire. I mean, and I'm still that. I'm still 100% that.
But it's perspective.
But I
Perspective.
know, yeah, my perspective is different, and I like know when to like reel it
Right.
in.
It's like you said,
Like I'm like, it's not worth
there's
it to
some
me.
fights that aren't worth fighting. You just have to,
It's not worth my cortisol to get
yeah.
like super high. It's not, there's a lot that I'm just like, I'm gonna pick my battle and this isn't it. I also have a 4-year-old. You have 2 kids. You pick your battles.
It's also the situation
You know?
you have to understand where someone else is coming from. And sometimes people forget that. You don't know what's happening in someone else's day. You don't know what the situation's been leading up to that point.
Yes.
Anything could have happened
Yes.
So you always have to be very careful of judging people or being too hard on people. You have to go into a situation being open to the idea that they might have had a really fucking bad day. Someone could have just died that they knew. Like, it could be anything. You
Yeah.
just don't know.
You know, pre-cancer, I probably didn't think like that at all. I didn't care. Like, I didn't care about
Yeah,
their lives. Like, fuck them. Like, if they were a dick to me, I'm gonna be a dick right back. But now, knowing what I know and knowing what my family went through, my friends went through, what you guys had to go through, like what everyone had to go through that knew me going through this, like you don't know what like your days were like, you know.
right.
So, I just everyone just deserves to be treated with some sort of respect. That being said, some people are just dicks, and
That's true. Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course.
at the end of the day, if they're a dick, like, I'm not gonna be a dick back, but, like, sucks to be you
Yeah,
type of thing.
yeah. So let's talk about the meet. We've got this meet coming up next weekend, right? Yeah, next week,
Yeah, so April 2nd.
April 2nd. And we basically got two kind of categories. One is just the clean and jerk, and one is the clean and jerk
Yep,
and the snatch. The reason we do that is because obviously in build we only do the clean and jerk, and in
exactly.
lift we add the snatch as well because it's more complicated. What does the day look like? Like
Alright.
how's it organized?
So, like, a traditional meet, like a sanctioned USAW, USA weightlifting meet, you go in, you're gonna weigh in, we're gonna do that same thing, we're gonna do the weigh-ins. The difference is this is in-house. I know all of the athletes. I know what they're capable of. I know what their press outs look like. I know what everyone's jerks look like. I know basically around everyone's numbers. I probably know everyone's numbers. If you were to ask me someone, I would know their numbers. So you go and you weigh in. We're going to do it in pounds. We're going to have 3 categories of pounds. So we're not going to do all the kilo weight classes. And then that will probably end around 9 a.m. We're going to do warm ups. We'll do some announcements announcing everyone. And then we're going to just have fun. We're going to have 3 attempts at the snatch and then a little bit of an intermission with a 10-minute break. And then 3 attempts at the clean and jerk. And then the people just doing the clean and jerk are going to just jump in for that part. So they don't have to start warming up until the clean and jerk people are starting to warm up.
So you warm up to the weight that you
Yep.
think you want your first attempt to be.
Yeah, so Carson, who now is like interning under me, she has everyone's numbers and we have an Excel spreadsheet. Usually people start at 85%, if that's technically sound. So you'll open at 85%. If you're technically sound, okay? There is a lot of people where they can hit their 95% easily because they're strong, but they're not technically sound. So some people like Christina, probably, for example, it will probably open a lot heavier than 85% because she just crumbles at a certain weight. But for most people, we'll just make a spreadsheet. We'll email everyone what we want them to warm up to and back. Carson will be back there helping everyone warm up, and then we're just gonna kind of run through it. So like the person who's lifting the least will start, and then we'll kind of just flow out like that. And we'll have 2 barbells. So the women's barbell is a 15 kilo, which is 33 pounds, and then the men's barbell is the 20 kilo Rogue weightlifting barbell, and both of them are IWF bars.
Let's say I do my first lift at 225 and I fuck it up.
Is that what you want to do?
I probably will, yeah. But let's say I fuck it up. Do I then go
You do it again.
Or do 225 again?
Right. Yeah, you wanna hit that and be like, okay, I got this, and then go up. You don't wanna miss it 3 times. And I have coached someone, Anna, hi, that I had an idea what I wanted her numbers to be. Anna had a different idea what her numbers wanted to be, and it fucking crumbled. So like you kind of at some point you have to be like, okay, me and Carson know what's best for you, so you gotta listen to us. Yeah, type of thing. So we'll have all of your guys' numbers in a spreadsheet, and we'll kind of. But if you want to open at 225, you got to hit that 225.
Yeah. Oh,
and then I'll let you free reign. You can go whatever you want after 225, but if you're opening at 225, you got to hit 225.
Yeah. What's the usual like progression in weight for the 3 lifts? Is 10 pounds?
So you don't want to wait too long before lifts, correct? So like my last meet I had to wait a really long time between my second and third attempt, and I got cold.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do another heavy attempt because I've already warmed up. I've already been out there for 2 of my lifts. And then there's a ton of people. I got backlogged. So there's a ton of people before I went for my 70. That's like my scary number, which I fucking could have hit. but I was rested too long. So you have to really play with how many people are between you. And like it's going to be hard because this is just a mock meet and in-house meet. As a coach, someone that's doing like a sanctioned meet, the coaches are doing a lot or playing around with other coaches. There's a screen, you see numbers, and you're playing around like where can my person go and still podium without getting too cold. So it might not be a max out day. It's just something where you want them to podium, hit the number, and then we move on.
Right.
So some days on a meet, you might not have to max out because the person before you might miss and they're done and you're like, okay,
Right.
I'm just going to go up 1 kilo, to just secure it. So it just really depends on how the other coaches are coaching their people and numbers across the board. For this meet, I do want you guys to kind of go and find your max. Like we're not playing around. Like if you really want to medal, like you'll get a PHAROS medal, but like,
yeah,
I want you guys to go for it.
Yeah. And I think stuff like,
because you'll get adrenaline.
Yeah, I also think anybody that competes in anything, I always just say, do as many competitions as you can, because just practice being in a competitive mode as opposed to just training.
Yeah.
It's even if it like feels it's beneath you, just do it. Like do it. Just do a meet, because why not? Test yourself. Put yourself in that kind of place.
Hey, Andre, I see you training weightlifting by yourself every day. I see you. Like
I don't want him to do it because he's definitely going to beat me, so I don't want him to do it.
But you know what I mean? It's like you're training for it already. Just do it.
Yeah.
Like I understand that it's fun to do on your own, but like you should have fun with it and like see what you are like under pressure, because everyone's different under pressure.
Yeah.
Like I'm like if you watch footage of me from meets, like I am like completely disassociated. I'm like a tiger. I'm like a caged tiger.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then some people are up there all smiles.
Yeah.
Like it's different. Like some people can like, I'm not like, I'm very like, it's kind of like you're on like a stage because you're in front of a bunch of people and you're on a platform. Yep. So like, I don't feel like I'm I mean, maybe I am, but I'm not great in front of people. But, I fully disassociate. I couldn't tell you who's out there, nothing.
That's good. I think
don't know what the announcers are saying.
I think it's good. It's good to be able to block out the noise. I even think about like penalty takers in the World Cup. The ones that do well in penalty shootouts are the ones that can block it out. Because can you imagine?
Yeah, I was a PK kicker.
Yeah. Can you imagine?
It's the same thing. Yeah,
the pressure of 100,000 people watching you like take a penalty in a World Cup. I mean, I just watch it like, oh my God, the pressure is just so immense.
And going back to your country, that might like burn it down.
Mental strength you have to not fuck it up. It's wild. It's wild.
Yeah.
So we've got this meet coming up. And what after this meet, where do we go with the Barbell Club from this point?
Yeah, so that's a good question, because on my programming, I've been programming for this meet since January. So like we've been in a really, really long block and we're in our taper right now. I think we're going to pull back a little bit and then discuss summer meets. There's a bunch of sanctioned meets coming up throughout the summer. That's usually when there's a lot of them. Talk about who wants to do any of the local competitions, that maybe like SoCal weightlifting or whatever, and then have a little bit of fun for the next month, and then go into another serious block going into summer. Yeah, because you have to pull back because your body is like done. That first week after pulling back, you're like, what am I doing with myself? Like you get a little depressed. Like I got super depressed after my meet because I was training so hard for something. And then it was done. And I'm like, what now? I don't want anyone to feel that, because it's a really shitty feeling. And that's, I want it to be like fun and lighthearted going into the next block. And I think it's really important for people to stay.
I think the key thing with athletics like that is you have to remember it doesn't define you. And I think a lot of CrossFitters suffer from that. Like they go into the open thinking, oh, I'm going to get to the games or whatever they think they're going to do. And of course they're nowhere near. But then, afterwards they deal with that. Like, so if I can't do this, then what am I? Who am I?
Yeah. Who am I? What am I doing with my, yeah. And you know what? We've seen that with someone at the gym. And this year, they're just like a brand new person. They did the open. They came back from an injury. Like they did quarterfinals. They still did great, but like, they didn't make it to the next part, but they're like, onward and upward, and that is how it should be.
Yeah, I think
Onward and fucking upward, because otherwise, what's the fucking point?
one of the biggest measures of character is how you deal with failure. And if you deal with
Yeah,
failure well,
100%.
you've got a strong character. It's if you throw tantrums and stuff.
I think of CrossFit like their business model, getting all these people signed up in the open and like cheer, like signed up. The $25 a head. I don't know how many people signed up. I think it has been like de-escalating or whatever. But all these people with hopes of what? You know, the top
Right.
whatever 1% are the ones going to the games. What are your hopes? To go to semifinals, to go
Yeah.
to quarterfinals, to do well, to be top 500 in the open? They've created this
Yeah. The story in the head.
culty, the
The,
story in the head. It's like, I mean,
the,
it's essentially a cult,
the main
but
thing is to enjoy it. I mean, that's what it always was. It was
to
like,
enjoy it.
let's do something fun that we enjoy, because you remember the days when the CrossFit didn't exist. People were going to the gym and doing their thing, and like a lot of people just going on their own with their headphones and doing their thing, which is great, and I still do that sometimes. And then CrossFit came along, and people started having fun together and working out together and pushing each other and
Yeah,
learning stuff and learning new skills, and that's the fun side of it. The problem with competition is people start to take it too seriously. They start to define themselves by the result of that competition, and then it becomes a negative thing. And there's a lot of people who basically give up doing that thing because they're like, they can't deal with the failure of it, as opposed to
yeah,
remembering, I was just doing this for fun. Like, this was just meant to be fun. So I think it's always important to remember that, whether it's weightlifting, whether it's CrossFit, whatever it is, like, it's not your job. It's not your
yeah.
job,
It's not
right?
your
Your job
job, and
is to pay the bills. This is just something that's fun, and you have to
mm,
remember that's what
yeah,
it is.
and you
Um,
probably need a creative outlet or some other, like, you can do
right.
CrossFit and love
Yeah.
CrossFit, but you probably need to either like get into something else that's not fitness related or therapy, really. I mean, like, it's just CrossFit create some really, I love CrossFit. It's I wouldn't be here being a weightlifting coach without CrossFit. But like, it can create some really ugliness within people, I feel like. And I think that's with anything where you're competitive. But
Yeah.
like, people are
I
looking
remember.
at, like, during the open, you're looking at scores, you're caring what other people are doing, you're panicking about the workouts. Like, it's just for what? For
I
what?
always remember when I was a kid, I must have been 10 years old. There was a guy, probably like 3 years older than me, really talented football player, like soccer player in England. And he was so good that everybody just used to foul him because he was so good. But rather than getting pissed off, every time he got fouled and went down, he got up and just laughed
Yeah.
because he knew it was because he was so good. But that's how he dealt with that situation, rather than getting like riled up and upset and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I looked at the guys like, that's the kind of person I want to be. Like, if I miss something, I just want to, like, you don't want to. Not everything's a joke, obviously, and you want to take things
No,
seriously, but
but
it's like,
yeah, you do kind of have to brush it off your
brush it
shoulders.
off and just take it for what it is. All right, Robin Reader, I love you. I think you're doing great work. I'm really impressed with everything you've done at the Barbell Club. It's been so good to
Thank
see
you.
the evolution of it, the participation in it, the way that you deal with it, the way that you handle it, the way that you publicize it. I think it's really special, and I think you're
Yay.
really special.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you for
Of
having
course,
me.
I'm looking forward to the meet. It's going to be super fun.
Yeah, me too. See you then.
Guys, before you go, Robin, just that we are trying to raise money.
Yes.
Tell everyone what we're raising money for.
So we're raising money for the Sarcoma Foundation of America. So that goes towards research towards sarcomas specifically. Any cancer research is great, but the thing with rare cancers, specifically sarcomas, a lot of money doesn't go towards them. So donating specifically towards a foundation that goes towards sarcoma research helps greatly. New treatment, limb salvaging, so people don't have to lose limbs to sarcomas. There's a lot of things that the research goes to, and it's really important that it goes specifically to that, because they're not big foundations, because it's not a known cancer.
Yeah. And just so you guys know, all the money will go to that charity.
Yep,
PHAROS
everything's going
Athletic
to the
Club,
charity. Yep.
all that good stuff. So whether you're participating, whether you're coming to watch and you're going to donate, just
Yep.
know that all that money is going to that charity. And it's 1316 Glendale Boulevard, PHAROS Athletic Club. We hope to see you there. We hope to see you in the gym soon. And until the next time, take care. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye, Pete.
Thanks for having me.